Hello everyone and welcome to another GTR 24/8 interview. I'm with Teun Louer from the Deuces Motorsport Club. Teun, how are you doing? And first of all, how badly did I pronounce your name?
Man, you did good, man. You did really good. I've never heard it so good from other country. Like seriously, I always like the weirdest of names from me. And like, you don't say it like that, but you did good, man. I'm really good.
Well, I don't think I'm doing it as good as you're currently doing in the EWC, currently sitting second in the championship. But I want to jump on first to that first round, that Indianapolis, the anomaly, that 9th place. What was going on?
Yeah, it was not around you expected. The pace was definitely there, but small mistakes, and then you get the snowball effect, and it just happens, and it just nothing went right. And then you end at P9, yeah. But after that, it went really well, I think. And everyone made mistake that round. I made a big mistake, Greg and Luca also made little mistakes, but every mistake counts here. Every second counts, and then you get quite lost. And the motivation in the race itself then also drops, and the pace drops. You're just cruising at home for the points then.
I mean, you mentioned about mistakes, and of course with endurance racing, you know, whoever makes less mistakes is probably going to do pretty well, and you've picked yourself up really well after that first round. 2 third places in a row at Silverstone and Sebring. Heading into Nürburgring, can you go one better? Can we see the P2?
Yeah, for sure. It was already in there for Silverstone and Sebring, but also with, again, small mistakes, and then yeah, this is seriously in there. We can get a fight with Mugen for sure, and DEAC Hackers. It's going to be a great fight for sure in Nürburgring. We also on the same pace with them, so maybe expect like a 3-4-way fight for P2.
And I want to talk a little bit about, you know, the kind of championship, because there is a big fight going on for second. You're tied with Mugen SimRacing, then you've got Drillers, Ramada, DSG Motorsport, DEAC Hackers, all separated by what, 7 points, so it is very close. Varga SimRacing have won every race so far,
yeah.
And what is your kind of honest opinion of them? Do you think it is possible for you or maybe any of the other teams in your class to take a win off them, or even a pole off them at some point?
I don't think that's possible. They are so fast, it's so insane. Yeah, they are such a talent, it's insane how fast they are. We have obviously tried to beat them, but you see in other championships they're winning everything, and like, so it seems so easy for them. Even in Sebring, we could have taken, because they also made some mistakes, but we were not there. No one was there because they already took 2 laps on us in the dry. So it's so difficult to get there. That car seems so good, and all 3 tires of them are like so insane. It's so difficult to get them.
Now, while Varga may have been winning every race, we've had 3 different teams finishing in second so far. Ramada back in Indianapolis, Pinsim Drillers in Silverstone, and then last time out it was the DEAC Hackers. Which one of those 3 do you kind of view as being more of a rival to yourself? Which one of the teams are you more worried about when you look to the future of the championship?
DEAC Hackers for sure. I know some guys of that. Roland is really fast, and also Norbert is. Yep. I saw him in Sebring, and I knew him from the F1 Challenger series, but he was really insane. I raced against him in some other championship, and in like this 1 year ago, and he didn't seem that fast, but now he's really growing and really going really fast. So I think that's are really the main competitors. Same with Mugen. I think we will have a fight for P2 in the championship. Maybe Ramada will get there, but yeah, it seems really competitive for sure.
Well, Teun, you mentioned Norbert Jakob, who I got to speak to not too long ago, and you mentioned how much he's improved. I remember actually commentating on him in a different league back in Split 5. He was only in the 5th tier, and now he's just so quick. As you mentioned, you've raced with him in the Challenger Series. When you do race against people and other teams that have drivers that you've raced against in the past, whether that have been in the Endurance Series, whether that have been in F1 sprint games, is there a bit more of a rivalry there? Do you kind of want to make sure that your stint is out at the same time as that person, just to kind of compare lap times?
Yeah, sometimes there's some friends. You always like seeing if they're the same stints, and you hopefully can beat them then. But yeah, when you see people you recognize, you always get some little extra bite into it, so you want to beat them and get faster. So yeah, especially with like famous people, I don't know, maybe it's the only one, but you always want to get that. You always want to beat them because you just want to be better.
Of course.
And and then. And also, you know, from like a year ago, and then you see you again on the track, then you really want to compare if they grew, if I grew, how much faster I went. And that's some fun you get when racing the same people. Also, every round, you always try to get better and see if you picked up the pace more. So it's really competitive, and you really want to get ahead of them.
Now, with a few of the teams in the EWC, Deuces have a sister team that is currently running in the GTE class, the number 74 car. Does the number 74 car kind of ever come across your mind while you're racing? Do you ever think, okay, you know, I'm coming up to lap them now, I want to do it in a place where it doesn't really affect them as much as it might affect some other cars, or do you just treat them as exactly the same as any other GTE car?
No, I don't treat them as the same. It's like, okay, you don't want to lose them as much time, but you're not going to put crazy dives or do something stupid that you both crash. That doesn't seem good. So I always try to take care of them for sure. And maybe there's also some fights for P1 day, and then when I'm like P2 or P3 and there's not really a fight with me, then I start taking care, maybe giving a bit slipstream and maybe slowing down the other GT you're fighting with. You always have that when you have another team.
Well, we've done the first half of the championship, and now we're into the second half, which I guess for you is somewhat of the home stretch, you know, with the likes of Nürburgring, Spa, Le Mans tracks that are very close to you. Are you looking forward to them? I mean, 2 24-hour races on the horizon in Spa and Le Mans, and then the 12 hours of Nürburgring coming up next.
I'm really looking forward to 3 amazing circuits. Like Spa and Le Mans, like, yeah, are pretty insane. Especially 24-hour race there. I don't know, the 24-hour race is always special. It always gives a bit, especially night stints, middle of the night. No, you are only on the track. Probably most of the time no engineer, you're just alone in a TeamSpeak and just driving. Hopefully not crashing because you fall asleep. Yeah.
How tired have you ever got during a stint?
Pretty tired, yes. Really tired. Especially you just went out of your middle of 3 hour, 3 AM, 4 AM, you're like really tired. That's pretty difficult to get concentrated, and especially on Le Mans with the long straights, you're just like completely dark. You can't see anything, and you almost fall asleep. You're really trying to wake yourself up, get some music on or something, just to try to wake you up, because otherwise it's pretty difficult sometimes.
You're reminding me of a late night motorway drive at 2 in the morning or something. So when you are this tired doing your stints, is there much of a difference in your pace, or are you still fairly consistent with what you'd be doing if you were wide awake?
It's maybe a bit slower, and yeah, you're missing some concentration. There's also consistency, so you miss sometimes a bit of a brake marker, and maybe you're a bit safer with traffic because everyone is kind of asleep, so crashes are happening quite easily then. You're still trying to get the most time out of it, but of course this pace is a bit slower, and also you can see the brake marks a bit less in the dark, and then even you're not fully awake, it's sometimes a bit difficult.
You need to have teammates from America or China so that they can do your nighttime stints while it's daylight.
That's the best, but we don't have it in the LMP2, so it's going to be some long nights in 24-hour days.
So, I mean, for you, what is your target for the remainder of the championship? Is it just to hold on to this second placer spot, or, you know, do you potentially look even towards Varga and just hope that they might make some mistakes in the coming races?
I think for Nürburgring, yeah, P2 is I think the goal, but you will never know. It's long races, everything can happen. So especially 24-hour races, everyone gets up in traffic and crashes maybe, and we have some luck there, and we get them, and we need to be there to beat them. So we try our best to stay close to them, and if they make a big mistake, we are there to take the P1.
Now, I do want to ask as well, because I know it's different for every driver, and I haven't been able to ask any of the drivers this during interviews, but different drivers have different approaches, and you mentioned that sometimes, you know, you're just driving, there's no engineering team speak, you're just by yourself and you can focus. Are you one of the drivers who just likes to have absolute silence, you know, the Kimi Räikkönen style, or do you like to have a bit of feedback from your engineers from time to time, just so that you've got someone to chat to and you don't, you know, feel too lonely, let's say?
It's always nice so you can chat to guys, because you can scream at some guys for when you're lapping and get some feedback for that, and when you're maybe a bit sleepy, it's good to talk so you stay awake and get concentrated. Or it's sometimes a bit boring when you're like one lap behind or one lap ahead, what can happen in some races, and then you can just have a nice talk about everything what's going on in life and have a bit of fun, because fun is also needed in racing. Otherwise it's not fun. No one will do it anymore, because we want to have fun.
See, now I know for the commentary team, when I was in the studio in Denmark and I'd be in the middle of my commentary stint, Peter would kind of walk by. So he's not on the camera, but I could see him with just a pizza, and he'd just be eating the pizza just to let me know that I can't eat it for another hour or something. Do you or your teammates ever do that while someone's in the cockpit?
Yes, yeah. It's always, oh, I'm going to eat, and I'm like, no, I also want to eat. And it's sometimes a bit difficult, but I will always try to eat something before, so they can't get me with that. It's always when you're like your stints exactly at your dinner time, and then someone's like, oh, I'm going to get something good, like, I'm hungry, I need to eat. But yeah, sometimes it's difficult, and it's funny.
So when the Le Mans 24 hours comes around, if we can get it at a LAN, while you're driving, if your teammates ever say, oh, I'm going to go in and eat, you can just tell them to feed you while you're driving, while you're in the ring, you just like...
That would be a cool idea, yeah. So 3 hours stint and then just eating, yeah, that would be very, very cool. Hopefully we can get there in Denmark. That's always the goal for me when I started sim racing, to get there in Denmark.
Okay, so final question. While we're on the topic of food and eating in the middle of races, when you're the race engineer, you know, when you're taking a break after your race stint and you're watching your teammates out there, you might be eating a snack. What is your go-to snack?
It's pretty difficult. I always have like chips, maybe, and some soda, just to get some sugar in, or some candies.
Okay. So the unhealthy, really, the proper snacks are coming through.
Yep.
Well, it sounds very good. So if we do have the LAN, I'm going to be having to stop by your tent, your marquee, and maybe grabbing some of those chips off you. But thank you very much for joining me. It's been a pleasure to have you and to speak to you, and best of luck for the remainder of the championship.
Thank you, and you too, for commentating.
Thanks.